The deepest wounds are not inflicted by enemies, but by those who once walked beside you, laughed with you, called you brother. Power is not lost in war. It is surrendered in trust. And in the quiet moments where you feel safest is often where betrayal is born. This is Law 2 of Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Because in the theater of power, your greatest threat wears a familiar face. We are taught that friendship is sacred, that allies ensure safety, and enemies bring chaos. But history, psychology, and power games show the opposite. Friends are governed by emotions. Enemies are governed by motives. Friends expect loyalty without merit. Enemies offer loyalty with purpose. Friendship is rooted in past memories, but power is built on present value. As Greene writes, "Be wary of friends. They will betray you more quickly, for they are easily aroused to envy. The loyalty of friends is soft. The loyalty of enemies is sharpened by necessity." Julius Caesar, the man who transformed Rome from republic to empire, was feared by many, but trusted few. And the few he did trust, they ended him. The Ides of March, 44 BC, Caesar enters the Senate, surrounded by allies. But these men, cloaked in brotherhood, unsheathed daggers. Among them stood Brutus, a man Caesar treated like a son. His final words, "Et tu, Brute? Even you, Brutus?" This wasn't just political assassination, it was the death of trust. Fast forward to the tech revolution. Steve Jobs, a visionary at Apple, brought in John Sculley, a man he admired and trusted, plucked from Pepsi with the words, "Do you want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life, or come with me and change the world?" Sculley was not an enemy, he was a friend, and that was the danger. Not long after, that same friend led the board to oust Jobs from his own company, the one Jobs had built with his blood, sweat, and genius, stolen by a man he trusted. But here's the twist. Bill Gates, Jobs' perceived enemy, would later invest $150 million into Apple when it was collapsing. A rival saved him. A friend destroyed him. Enemies act with intent. Friends with emotion. One is manageable, the other unpredictable. Psychologists call it proximity bias. We are more likely to assume safety from those we know, simply because we've known them. But proximity breeds familiarity, and familiarity breeds comparison. When your friend sees you succeed, they're reminded of their own stagnation. Your rise becomes a silent accusation. Why not me? They don't need to hate you. They just need to feel forgotten. And in power, that emotion turns deadly. Enemies, by contrast, are transparent. They don't pretend. They expect nothing except to win. That makes them easier to read, easier to manage, and paradoxically, easier to trust. This law is not a call to isolation. It is a call to wisdom. Do not hire friends. Loyalty clouds judgment. Familiarity breeds leniency. Instead, hire those who are hungry, not entitled. Convert enemies into allies. Critics, rivals, even competitors, when aligned with a shared goal, they become powerful assets. Because the enemy who now works for you will overperform to prove their worth and bury their past. Test loyalty, not through words, but action. See how friends behave when you win. Do they cheer or do they shrink? Keep power and emotion separate. Affection is not a qualification. In power, what matters is, can this person move with me without being threatened by my momentum? No story embodies this law better than Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. They weren't friends. They were rivals. Frazier hated Ali's bravado. Ali mocked Frazier mercilessly. Their battles were brutal, physical, and psychological. But after the dust settled, Ali spoke with reverence. Joe Frazier is the greatest fighter I've ever faced. Without him, I wouldn't be who I am. The man who hit him hardest also sharpened him the most. True greatness is not forged in comfort. It is carved in combat. Trust is not weakness, but untested trust, that's a loaded weapon pointed at your back. This was Law 2 of the 48 Laws of Power. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Unlock the full 48 Laws of Power playlist and become the strategist of your own life. Because in the end, power respects those who see through smiles and handshakes.